Hello everybody, it's your boy VG Time back. This time with a new, hopefully, series of videos where I look back in the past of this game and talk about cards that were errata'd or banned for the health of the game. Shout out to Adrian for suggesting this video. I've been playing this game since the very first set, and as such, I have a pretty good memory of why or what was the reason for things being hit. So if you're a new player and you were looking through a whole batch of old cards and you was like, oh, this card is great, why isn't this card played? Oh, it was errata'd, oh, it was banned. You might be going, well, why was that the case? Well, hopefully this series helps you. So we're gonna start off with what I think was one of the most feared cards ever in the game, and it wasn't when it first came out. And so let's get over to it right now. So right now we have Mind Controlling Bobbity from Union Force. This card right here was a pretty cool card. It was used as a finisher in several decks that could take advantage of it. It was one of the better cards in red at the time. Getting to the 6 energy was not really that hard of an issue. The game was slower, so you could, with effort, stretch it out to those turns. Also, decks were known to have multiple energy color types within it, so even if you were primarily red or primarily blue, there were certain cards that you just played across the board. Like if you were playing a deck that wanted to play Bobbity, you ran a blue package of Objection, Senzu Bean, Weast Coercion, things like that, just so you had the ability to charge to where you needed to get to and the ramp to where you needed to go. The most popular deck is a deck that, oddly enough, is pretty popular now, which was Vegito from set 2. So to give you an example of a deck list like that, I have found a shot from one of Dusty's old videos over on Kitchen Table Meta. If you don't know who Dusty was, he was one of the earliest content creators for this game, if not the earliest content creator for this game. And also vanguarded a lot of the streaming of events in the early part of the game. Here's an example of it. As you see, is a Vegito deck. You had all these cards, but you had Mind Controlling Bobbity. And the reason being is that if you could get here, you had the ability to play all these great cards off it, whether it be Go Tanks or the Crypt Promo Goku, the Vegeta that drew you 2 cards, the Goku that board wiped, the big Vegito, so on and so forth. And again, Objection was part of the deck. We also had Whis. As you see this deck, you see there's multiple other banned cards such as Xenobot and Objection. This is not their time to shine. We're about the Bobbity. So, with that being said, Bobbity was a pretty cool card. It didn't always see play because Cold Bloodlust was at 4. So you had to kind of like look and see what the meta was and then base it upon that, whether or not you could break out your Bobbities and cause all kinds of problems. But then something happened. Set 3 came out and they showed the spoilers of the trial decks and a particular card arrived. Now, those that played the game at the time, they know exactly what this card that was released was. And it was none other than our cool on and errata'd friend, Chain Attack Trunks. So Chain Attack Trunks says when this card is played, or when you play this card, choose up to 1 battle card from your hand with power 15,000 or less and play. So of course, you had the ability to play from your hand Mind Controlling Bobbity without having to get to 6 energy. What made it even more gross though, was that if you look back here, he had Double Red Evolve on top of a Trunks GT. So as soon as that came out and we saw what the Trunks GTs were, most of them were 2 energy cards, but you would play it for 2 energy, and then on turn 3, you were able to go into Chain Attack Trunks into Bobbity. So that was obviously way too good. You would sit there and be able to pull off big bombs, like let's go back to Dusty video right here, like the big Vegetos or the Go Tanks, and these were super powerful cards for the time, really early in the game. which the game was not equipped to be able to handle. There wasn't a lot of good board wipes or great low cost removal back during that time. Removal was at a premium, and so just doing these things was way too powerful. Yeah, it was actually quite terrifying to a lot of people. And then because of that, they put the errata if you have 6 or more red energy when you play this card. This was meant to quell the fears of what was happening with the release of Chain Attack Trunks. Now, I did have an issue with the errata myself, if you wanted to know my opinion. I believe the errata should have been this card could not be played by skills. And the reason for that is that 6 or more red energy is way too hard to accomplish, right? Like, no one had an issue with you paying 6 for it, but 6 or more red energy was pretty gross. But I believe a part of that was also due to them knowing about a particular leader coming down the pipeline and them wanting to quell it for that. And again, if you played the game at the time, you know that that leader was none other than our boy, Heightened Evolution Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku, who had the ability to ramp to 2 immediately, which then allowed you to objection, and then had the ability from that point to get to Babidi all natural by like turn 4 or so, which is still powerful, but to me wasn't outlandish. By requiring 6 or more red energy, you kind of put a wrench in that strategy, because even if you did have your deck primarily red, there were certain cards that you could not run red in your deck, such as your super combos and whatnot. So I believe that is why they have 6 or more red energy, but I still believe it should have just been couldn't be played by means of a skill. But yeah, the boards back when you had Mind Controlling Babidi, Chain Attack Trunks pre-errata, what people were showing was kind of insane. I wish I could show you an example of it, but I couldn't find any video on it. It was mainly like a picture or something like that. But you would go Chain Attack into Babidi, top 7, and if you happen to have another Babidi in your hand and you came across the Chain Attack Trunks at that top 7, you could play another red card, play Chain Attack, play Babidi, and then repeat the process all over again. And that was pretty absurd, again, on turn 3 usually, in a format that did not have great removal. But little did they know that as busted as this is, there was something far worse on the horizon that a lot of people didn't take the time out to catch. And we'll get into that in the next video. So thank you very much for following me on this journey, and I'll see you around next time. And this is VG Time signing out.